Hello and welcome to our first class of Herbology 101. Today we are going to be talking about slippery elm and oak, and our preparation today will be poultices. First, let's do a quick overview of the class. So we have 8 lessons in this course. Slippery elm and oak with poultices, eucalyptus and lobelia with liniments, chaparral, camphor with fomentations, licorice and turmeric with capsules, nigella and aniseed with pills, ginseng and woad with granules, motherwort, mugwort, spagyrics. The last class will be your final presentation along with some review, and we'll talk a little bit about the 4 temperaments and how they apply to herbology. So, just a very quick overview. If you would like a grade for this class, the grading breakdown will be as follows: 40 points for your final presentation. And then for this class, you will be asked to write a brief research paper. So you do your preparation, and then I want you to do a little bit of research about the herbs that you use in your preparation. So you're going to want to tell me the common name, the botanical name, the properties, uses, and then as well as a description of how you created your preparation. So for this course, instead of a test, we just do a little bit of a research paper in addition to your final presentation. So let's talk a little bit about our class tasks. So for this class, the first thing you need to do obviously is listen to this class video. The second thing I want you to do is watch the video about poultices. And then your third task for the week will be to answer the weekly questions. So let's go ahead, let's talk about properties. Now, if you have already taken Herbology 101, you will have seen these before. If you have not, you can look up these properties. If you're not familiar with them, you can look them up at our online herbal website, which is www.worldviewherbal.com. There's a link for this site in your lesson for the week. You can get to it that way, but we'll do just a quick review. The properties for this week include an astringent. An astringent is something that causes the body tissues to contract. The second one is a nutritive. A nutritive is something that provides nourishment or nutrition. The third is diuretic, which increases the flow of urine, so it makes you go pee. The fourth one is an expectorant. An expectorant is something that helps expel mucus. So now I want to talk about 2 new properties that we haven't talked about. We did not talk about in Herbology 101. The first one is a demulcent. A demulcent is something that's soothing. It's mucilaginous, which means it's kind of slimy on the inside, or it can become slimy if you add water to it. And a demulcent helps protect damaged or inflamed tissues. Now, a demulcent is used internally. Okay, so the same thing used externally is called an emollient. It does the same thing. Often it's mucilaginous. It softens, soothes, and protects the skin. It helps protect damaged or inflamed tissues on the outside of the body. So demulcent, internal. Emollient, external. So that's a good way to remember those. So now let's talk about our herbs for this week. The first thing we are going to talk about this week is oak. The botanical name for oak is Quercus robur. Now there are several different species within this Quercus genus. Quercus robur is native to the northern hemisphere. However, there are 90 species of Quercus trees in North America and over 200 species worldwide. There's a lot of oak trees out there. Oak is the entire oak is actually commonly used for many different things. The leaves are used, the bark is used, the acorns are used. Oak is primarily astringent, highly astringent. It has something in it called tannins, which we'll talk more about. And tannins are extremely astringent, so they make the tissues of the body contract. Not only are the leaves, bark, and acorns of the plant used, but something that grows on the oak tree called oak gall, which are small formations on the oak tree. They're caused by insect larvae. Oak galls are also widely used for various ailments. So they're not grown by the oak so much as they're grown on the oak. Oak has a long history of use, and it's considered a symbol of strength and endurance. If you've ever seen an oak tree, an old oak tree, they're these giant things. In the case of live oaks that often grow in the American South, they have these huge arms that go all the way to the ground and then go back up again. They're very strong and enduring tree. So let's talk about how we use oak. So bark and leaves from oak cannot be boiled or steamed to help with bruising or bleeding, so you can use them as a poultice or as a fomentation. The acorns can actually be boiled and eaten after the tannins are leached. So you have to boil the acorns before they are edible. Before that, they're just very highly astringent. So you boil the tannins out of the oak, and then you can use the acorns. Acorns are sometimes used for things like pies. Sometimes they're ground into flour. So we've got the bark, the leaves, and the acorns. So pretty much a lot of the parts of this plant can be used. Oak also contains a quinine-like substitute that can help reduce fever symptoms. So quinine was commonly used in treating yellow fever or malaria, and quinine can be found in a few different trees, or quinine substitute can be found in a few different trees, one of those being oak. A poultice of oak can be used to fight inflammation in the skin. So again, that astringent property in oak helps to fight inflammation. All right, let's talk about our second plant for today, and that's slippery elm. Ulmus fulva is the botanical name. It is native to the northern hemisphere. We primarily use the bark of the slippery elm tree. It is demulcent, it is emollient. It can be used as an expectorant, although I don't think that's as common. Same with diuretic, it can be used as a diuretic, but again, not as common. But it's also used as a nutritive. There's a few little kind of folktale fun things about slippery elm. It's said to be able to stop gossip when sprinkled around the home or carried in a bag. And slippery elm bark that is burnt and made into a cross on the bottom of your shoe is said to allow the wearer to walk amongst gossips without them spreading gossip about the wearer. So sometimes there's a little bit of interesting folktales things that go along with our plants as well. So this is one about slippery elm. So now let's talk about how it is used. Because of its demulcent qualities, it's used commonly for things like sore throats, cough, or dryness in the throat. It is sometimes used as a gruel, so it's thinned with water and made into, it's almost like a soup. The gruel is used as a nutritive, especially in babies experiencing reflux. It helps keep formula or milk, whatever the baby is trying to keep down in their stomach. I do recommend, if you're giving a baby anything other than milk or formula, to check with your doctor first on that. But I have heard of it being used in that capacity. It also helps provide nutrition in the case of severe nausea and vomiting. So for adults who can't keep any food down, reflux or vomiting, things like that, it can also help to provide nutrition. And the poultice is used to heal ulcers, bed sores, and wounds. It makes uh, um, a nice mucilaginous poultice that's very soothing and healing for the skin. So that's a little bit about slippery elm. So this week, I've said this word several times during this class, but for today, we're going to look into poultices. Now, a poultice, by definition, is a macerated preparation of herbs. So macerated meaning shredded, smashed, ground down preparation of herbs or other materials. Sometimes there's other things that are made into poultices, but primarily herbs. Then there's liquid added to it, typically water, sometimes other things that are added to it. And it is then used by applying it to the skin, covering it with a towel, cloth, or a paper towel. The video that I want you to watch, it is a really interesting way to make a poultice, especially if you want to be able to very quickly be able to thaw out your poultice and use it. This is not the easiest way to make a poultice. Just grinding up your herbs and putting them on your skin is probably the easiest. Some people I have heard of chewing up their herbs and putting it on their skin, although I'm not a huge fan of it, but I can't say I've never done it. But if you're sometimes outside and you don't have access to a mortar and pestle or to a some type of grinder or blender, some people will just grab, especially plantain, people do this with, will grab a leaf of plantain, put it in their mouth, chew it up, and put it on their skin. Like I said, not my preferred method of making a poultice, because I don't know what's in my mouth and I don't know if I want to put it on my skin when I get a cut or a bug bite. But some people swear by it. That's why we talk about it. So go ahead and watch this video, and this is just one way to make a poultice. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I hope you have enjoyed your lesson this week, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.